What's up YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I am going to be speaking about having your moon conjuncting your partner's Pluto in synastry. It really represents our feelings, our inner world, our emotional nature, and the way in which we respond to a lot of things and the habits that we kind of form. And it would take more to get to know a person when it comes to their moon sign than when you are first met with their sun sign representative. And the moon sign is very important because it is the more emotional nature, and so it affects us deeply when it comes to situations, other people, etc. And hence the moon can be a more sensitive energy. Whereas on the other side, Pluto is more so in a very intense energy. And what your Pluto is in can really show how you handle really intense, transformative, and even destructive situations or processes. And Pluto has to do with those more intense and subconscious emotions when it comes to how and what Pluto really represents in a chart. And Pluto has to do with death, rebirth, and transformation, and the gaining of power and the letting go of power and control. And it's a bit of an uncomfortable energy to really work with. And having Pluto and the moon, the Pluto person here really wants to hold on to a sense of control, and the moon person here can be somewhat vulnerable in this conjunction with this Pluto person. And it's the rising from the ashes kind of energy, the strength that a person didn't really know that they had until they had to go through some kind of a process that felt like loss or facing a fear. And there can be a lot of psychological growth, and whatever sign Pluto is in, or whatever aspects are being made to Pluto, can really show how a person approaches those kind of things in their life, especially things to do with change and what's uncomfortable, including power struggles and obsession, like in this aspect with someone in synastry. So when having the moon conjuncting your partner's Pluto in synastry, with this synastry, the moon person and the Pluto person can experience very intense feelings of being very drawn to each other, and they can even feel the sense of being very fascinated with each other. The Pluto person especially can even feel what feels like feelings of obsession about the moon person, and they can feel this really strong feeling of being drawn to the moon person. And the moon person here also has this very strong sense of being drawn to the Pluto person. The moon person has a way of being able to also understand the Pluto person's feelings. And the Pluto person might not always like that, or they may not feel comfortable about that. But with the synastry, the moon person is able to kind of intuit the Pluto person's feelings and emotions. But that's not to say that the moon person is 100% in control of the emotions in this dynamic with the Pluto person. The moon person can also feel this very intense sense of attraction towards the Pluto person. And with the moon here, the moon person can feel very vulnerable with the Pluto person, can even kind of give their power away to the Pluto person, and it can feel like the Pluto person has a hold on the moon person. However, they both kind of have a hold on each other. With this synastry, there's a sense of having a very difficult time with moving away from each other or letting each other go. They feel like they want to be together. They have this pull towards each other, and it can be very intense. With the synastry, there can be experiences of the highs and the lows, and obsession with the amount of emotions that are involved with this conjunction between the moon person and the Pluto person. And the Pluto person might know that they have some kind of an upper hand on the moon person, and they could use that to their advantage when it comes to their relationship with the moon person. That's why for the moon person, this relationship can feel very exposing, or like it's taking them out of their comfort zone at times, especially the deeper they get into the relationship. Because when it comes to the moon person, the Pluto person can tell what their emotional needs are, and they can recognize where their vulnerabilities are. And they may even bring that up to the surface for the moon person in this relationship. And with Pluto, there's this revealing, this uncovering of the truths. And that can feel very uncomfortable for the moon person in this relationship over time. However, there's a very protective element too when it comes to the Pluto person, and they want to be able to take care of the moon person and that more sensitive side of the moon person when it comes to the emotional nature. Just like the moon person can have an instinct to want to support the Pluto person when it comes to their emotions, because the Pluto person can't hide their emotions and their feelings from the moon person, who can detect that in the Pluto partner. So the emotional defense is already challenged for both the Pluto person and the moon person in this relationship, and it's not easy to hide for both of them when it comes to their feelings and their emotions in this relationship. So having this aspect in a relationship really brings a lot of support, and it can be very empathetic when it comes to the way in which they feel about each other. And there can also be a very strong emotional bond between the moon person and the Pluto person, and it can feel very deep and very intense, and it can also translate to them having a lot of very strong chemistry in this relationship. It's going to be a very passionate and very intense dynamic between the two of them because of how deep it actually goes. And when it comes to the negative, this aspect being so emotional in nature can also make things pretty sensitive and pretty touchy. For the moon person especially, they can experience emotional sensitivity to the Pluto person more often, and they can feel like the Pluto person here can hurt them, even if unintentionally. And having this synastry aspect can be very revealing or exposing, and can bring up a lot of insecurities or fears of being seen when it comes to certain things that have not yet been dealt with, which can also make things uncomfortable. It's really just because a more sensitive or vulnerable planet is being engaged when it comes to the moon person. Although the Pluto person can also experience feelings of insecurity, or they can feel like they are going through vulnerability themselves when it comes to being with the moon person, because of how exposing and how revealing this aspect really is for both of them when it comes to the emotions, and they just really can't hide that side of themselves with each other. Even though the moon person is very understanding, and the Pluto person can be protective of the moon person when it comes to their vulnerabilities that they can pick up on in the moon person, and the moon person can also kind of intuit in the Pluto person. And there can be power struggles because of the emotional nature between the two, especially if there are aspects between them that are more so hard aspects or more challenging aspects. The synastry can make it hard to let go, so it starts very strong and neither of them want to lose each other because this relationship is so meaningful. And what can happen as a result of this relationship is that they can have a lot of growth, especially on a psychological level, but also a lot of emotional transformation on a personal level for both of the partners. Well, that does it for this video on having your moon conjuncting your partner's Pluto in synastry. Thank you so much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it, found it helpful, and if you did, please be sure to give this video a thumbs up and to subscribe to this channel for more videos. Well, that is where I love and leave you. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye, guys.